What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2017 career mode. This is part number 5 today for the Spanish Grand Prix, of course, our teammates' home Grand Prix. But before we get into it, just want to show you the driver standings and the constructor standings. I realized I haven't really actually shown it to you guys properly yet in a video yet, which is kind of weird. You've seen a few snippets in the cutscenes and whatnot. You can see Toro is sitting there just between Haas and Renault. I think pretty much where I thought we would be at this point of the season. A little bit annoyed that Carlos hasn't been pulling his weight so far. I really thought he would have given me more of a challenge, but I don't know, he's gotten very, very unlucky. You know, he's had 2 DNFs so far due to mechanical failures, slash, I guess, a little bit of a punt at Russia. But anyway, we're going to change our component, the internal combustion engine, back to the first one. Obviously, that one's already very worn, but we're going to use it in practice as basically a practice internal combustion engine, and then put in the fresh one basically for qualifying and the race. So let's get straight into practice for Catalonia.
Welcome to the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia for the Spanish Grand Prix. Over the next few minutes, the teams will be heading out onto this classic Formula One track for what we're expecting to be a very hectic practice session. So, Anthony, lots to do, of course, in these sessions, lots of programs to run. What are you looking for when you jump in the car for free practice?
Well, you have basic checks, first of all. You know, is the car working correctly? What are the track conditions like? And you'll be chasing that as the session goes on. Things like that. Then you start getting into the nitty-gritty of it all, and they become more like test sessions where it's all about gathering new data, testing components, tweaking the setup, and so on. So there's only so much actual practice that these drivers need. Most of them will be plenty familiar enough with the track layout, either from previous experience or from the simulator.
So as usual, we rattle through the first few kind of easier practice program tests. The track acclimatization, obviously all purple apart from 2 little green ones, but we get the maximum amount of score. Then for the tyre wear test, I opted for 1 set of mediums. We have 3 available this weekend, so using 1 in practice wasn't too bad. And then for the fuel saving, I went for the hard tyres, because the hard tyres I'm not going to use the entire race weekend, basically not going to use it during the race, so may as well just use them for the fuel saving, even though it didn't recommend it. I mean, I would suggest you just kind of use the tyres you don't want to really use. Sometimes the game will recommend tyres that you might want to use in the qualifying of the race, so just something to think about. Of course, you do get some free sets, but it's just on the cautionary side in case you want to overuse your tyres, basically. But you can see I'm adjusting the setup a little bit ahead of the actual race strategy and the qualifying practice program, crucially, because during the first few tests, just felt like there wasn't enough rear downforce and front downforce in the Toro Rosso. There were a few times, especially in Sector 2, the kind of the climb up the hill, where I felt like we could have gone flat or near flat with a little lift off, and the Toro Rosso just couldn't make it, especially also through turn 3 that we're coming up to now. On heavier fuel, wasn't fully flat like I thought it would be. Then, once we did the setup changes and got a bit lighter fuel, obviously, for the qualifying program, then it was all fine. Then my kind of worries were a little bit kind of padded down in terms of how our Toro Rosso was going to perform. But a little bit higher wings than maybe I'd want to, so I think we may be a little bit draggy on the straight, so we may be lacking some straight line speed during the race. But I mean, I think I'd rather have the compromise of better cornering than the actual straights, especially if, you know, Spain obviously is going to be a bit higher tyre wear, so we may actually be doing like a normal 2-stop. So I think maybe I'd rather opt for the downforce in the corners. You saw there getting a little bit wide on the exit, but anyway, we come across the line. We do get the target for the qualifying time, so that puts me in a good mood for qualifying, and I think we can try and smash it and try and get to the top 10, hopefully.
Here we are at the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia for the start of today's qualifying session. It won't be long now until we're ready to join the action down at trackside. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined, and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
For sure, we're going to try and avoid those lockups, Anthony. Always very, very insightful during those cutscenes and commentary and whatnot. But anyway, we're going to adjust the fuel levels on the setup here. I've actually noticed that a few times. I think I've missed doing this, so sometimes be wary about that, guys, that your engineer may be fueling you up for a little bit more than you definitely need. So sometimes they may put a few extra laps of fuel in. You can take those off if you really feel like you need to gain some extra performance, and definitely that's the case here, because I definitely want to try and break into the top 10 if we can. Going through into turn 3, flat out revving out 5th gear. I think if I change up to 6th, probably maybe some of the higher cars could go flat in 6th. The Toro Rosso definitely can't. So at the moment, having to just kind of rev the engine out a little bit in 5th gear there, but generally a tidy kind of first sector. A little bit of a twitch there on the exit, but generally okay. This corner a little bit tricky, a little bit slidey in 3rd gear, but get the power planted down, a little bit squirmy on the exit. And then this was the section where in practice, in the qualifying practice runs, I felt like the Toro Rosso wasn't as stable and sticking to the ground as I wanted it to, but now you can see lower fuel, you know, max pushing, it was okay. A tiny bit of a track extent on the exit, but it's fine. Opening DRS for this next back straight, and the car felt pretty planted. We do lock up there, so Anthony Davidson's probably going to kill us in the commentary box, wherever he's commentating from. But through to the final sector, where generally it seems like I'm pretty decent against the AI, especially through the final chicane. I don't know if they've reprofiled it, or I think it's maybe just the 2017 downforce, but this 3rd sector, especially this chicane, feels so much better in these 2017 cars than it ever did on the F1 2016 game. So I don't know if it's just the car, or maybe they have changed the circuit a little bit, I'm not too sure. But we come across the line, pretty decent lap I feel like, although we can definitely improve, especially in that in the end of sector 2, getting a little bit squirmy here and there. So we're going to go for another run, strap on another set of soft tyres. Unfortunately though, as we come down the main straight to begin our lap, already a tiny bit up on our delta there as we go down the main straight. We've got Sergio Perez coming out the pit lane on the pit exit, completely blocks us on the apex for turn 1 and 2. And at this point, you can't see it obviously, but I was actually waving my hands up in real life, kind of just shouting at Perez, and that's my lap gone. I didn't get another lap in. That was towards the end of the session. I didn't have enough time to go for another one. So thanks, Perez. Thanks a lot. I mean, we've already come to war so many times so far this season, and yet again, some more tensions there. So we actually end up in P11. We do actually finish, ironically, ahead of Perez on the grid, and ahead of our teammate still, thankfully, who's obviously his home Grand Prix. But P11 does give us free tyre choice, but I don't think it'll matter, because I think we are going to stay on the soft tyres. But unfortunately, because I really thought we could have at least maybe been challenging Jolyon Palmer, who did a spectacular job at out-qualifying Nico Hulkenberg, who was, I think, in P16. So I was very surprised. But I just want to point your attention to this big mistake I've made. Big mistake I've made. I did not change the internal combustion engine back to number 2. I kept it on 1 by mistake. Top tip here before you get the game on Friday, check the engine management thoroughly before you go to qualifying, because I completely skipped over it. I went straight to quali, and now I have to do the race with the old internal combustion engine, which I did not want to use anymore. Not good. I also didn't get a chance to change my MGU-H, which was already quite worn, I think at 60%, so this is going to be an interesting race. This is going to be a nice example for you guys to see what a really worn engine is going to perform like.
For the cars to follow each other closely here due to the dirty air coming off the car in front, so perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix, Ant. What do you think on that?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. I mean, yes, as you say, it's hard to follow around here, but if you're brave on the brakes, you can get the job done down into turn 1, which is a medium-speed corner, so you have to be committed. And looking down at this grid today, I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers making a move from a long way back, maybe try to force their opponent into a mistake. I don't think this is a race that's going to be purely decided in the pit stops.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Kimi Raikkonen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Ricciardo, Massa, Stroll, Palmer, and Roman Grosjean. A Toro Rosso, Perez, Carlos Sainz, and Magnussen, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, and Stoffel van Dorn. Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so looking at the race strategy ahead of this race, we can either do a 2 or a 3 stop. Engineers are recommending it's 2 sets of mediums and 1 set of softs. We'll see how it goes. I think I don't know, we may end up using more softs than mediums in this race and going very aggressive like we probably should have done in Bahrain from the early onset, but we'll see how the performance goes. But as I said, I think just before we got to the qualifying cutscenes, that even though we're outside the top 11 and we do have free tyre choice, I think we'll just stick onto the soft tyres because I don't want to be left for dust basically at the very beginning of the Grand Prix. And we've overfueled the car just a tad so we can use a bit more rich mix. We may need it with the worn internal combustion engine, but we go to 5 red lights to the Spanish Grand Prix, round 5 of this season. 5 red lights are out and we're underway, and Jolyon Palmer has had a shocking start ahead of us. We jump straight ahead of him into the middle of the circuit. Grosjean's had a good one as well, as we have a long run down to turn 1. It's going to be Sergio Perez trying to look down on my left-hand side, as well as Palmer coming back around the outside into turn 1. We go all very, very tight up ahead, 3 wide momentarily. I think that is for Daniel Ricciardo and one of the other Williams cars, I think, of Felipe Massa's. Stroll goes around the outside of Grosjean, unsettles Roman's car, so we're going to go around the outside of him and try and overtake him, as he's been really, really unsettled there. Stroll really cut him off through turn 3, so we go round the outside, swoop round, and we've got him. We're up into P9, so a very decent start for us. As you can see up ahead, Daniel Ricciardo struggling a little bit in the first phase of this Grand Prix, holding up Massa and Stroll, as we tried to maybe get some sort of good traction on Stroll, but I got it all wrong and we got on the marbles a little bit. There's actually, I'm surprised at the fact that there are some marbles already on the circuit there through that turn at the end of Sector 1, but as we climb up the hill now, we're going to obviously not get DRS quite yet. We have to wait till lap 3 for that to happen, but no need right now because we're right up Stroll's gearbox. We're practically pushing him through that last chicane there, so the Williams car not got the best downforce through Sector 3, but down the back straights, just a little bit annoying with rich mix as well. We just can't seem to get the overspeed. Yellow flags are up ahead. What's going on there? Oh, there's a car on the left. Oh, it's Raikkonen. Oh, Raikkonen's out of this Grand Prix. He's been, I think, did he hit the wall? There was definitely some debris on the circuit, or on the sides of the circuit. I'm not too sure. That it may have actually just been the foam barriers or something like that, like some of the foam signs. Let's take a look. So it was Kimi Raikkonen who was leading the Spanish Grand Prix here on towards lap 2, and it looks like it may have just been a failure and he kind of parked up very awkwardly. Let's see. Yeah, just a failure. It was the brake marker boards that he smashed to pieces. Cheers, Kimi. I'm not going to know where to brake now. I'm going to have to keep looking to the right-hand side to check where the brake marker board is. But Kimi Raikkonen out of this Grand Prix then, stricken on the side and causing all sorts of carnage to the brake marker boards on the left. So, yeah, unlucky stuff there for Kimi Raikkonen, who I think was on pole position, or may have had a very good start into turn 1. But following that carnage on towards lap 3, we're now chasing after Stroll still very hard into turn 1. No DRS here, but I just go for it because we have to make the lunge to try and do it, because this year, on this year's game, you just need to be very, very aggressive, otherwise you aren't getting the place. The AI are not going to hand you the place with some nice, easy kind of trail braking into the corner. You just really need to lunge for it, and we do get it, and we're up into P7, and you can see the gap to Massa, so we had to make that move because Stroll, although I couldn't actually pass him in a straight line, he was so slow in the corners that he was really holding me up, because by the time we get up to lap 6 now, you can see we are closing up on Massa, and just look at the gap on the mini-map to Lance Stroll there. So we've gained so much time on him, and he's holding the cars right behind him up. We've got Grosjean on that train, I believe maybe the Renault cars as well, but now going back to us, you can see briefly there, our entire engine is yellow, so it's holding up for now, but it's going to wear out even more during this race, so that's something we have to keep an eye on and may affect our performance slightly. But now we move on towards lap 7, at the end of lap 7 on towards lap 8 when we cross the line, and it's going to be Felipe Massa in the pits then, so he's in for a bit of an earlier stop along with some of the front runners, so up into P5 now. So we're going a little bit longer on the soft tyres, kind of like Bahrain. We're stretching the first set of tyres we're going to be on. That's just because I really do want to maybe try and see if we can do 2 sets of softs and a medium, because I think the grip was being so good in the initial stages of this stint on the soft tyres that I want to try and go on another set if we can. Go on the mediums probably in the middle to try and get them out of the way. But at the moment we're up into P2 now. It's Max Verstappen that leads the way. Magnussen, once again, just like Bahrain, is the sole one that kind of follows me through on this strategy. But by the time we get to lap 9, I think it's time to come in. But previously, as soon as I saw Massa was in, I went up to Rich Mix. We were finding time. There was still grip, so it was great. It's just exactly like you've seen it in real life in 2017. You know, if you bide your time a little bit and you do push that little bit extra, the tyres still do have that grip. Sort of like what we saw Sebastian Vettel do in Monaco. You know, towards the end of his tyre stint, you would have thought, nah, he's not got any pace, and then he's able to pull out some lap times, pretty much like that. But by the time we get to here, now at the end of lap 9, through that second sector, yeah, the car didn't feel too great, so it's time to come in now. now. It's kind of, you know, you get to that point where it's like, okay, now it's time to give up with trying to stretch this out. So we're going to come in for a set of medium tyres, the white wall tyres, and it's going to be interesting to see where Massa is in this, and also Grosjean, who I think was the car right behind us. Obviously, Stroll was behind us, but he was holding up a whole train of Grosjean and the 2 Renault cars, and also my teammate Carlos Sainz. But I think I'm probably guessing by now they've definitely overtaken Stroll, who just really did not look like having any pace. And I think that was the Williams car of Felipe Massa that just went past us there. And then you've got the Sauber. Yeah, there you go. There is Felipe Massa. Just about to see his blurry green helmet there as the focus is on our car as we come out into turn 1, just ahead of Romain Grosjean on the medium tyres. Verline, Pascal Verline in the Sauber, out of sync of this Grand Prix a little bit. I think he started on those mediums. He's on he's on the medium tyres as well. And I think Massa, well, I'm not too sure. We'll see what Massa's on, but at least most of us around me at the moment are on medium tyres. And we do catch up to Verline very rapidly. Obviously, the Sauber car, the worst car on the grid. And actually through here, it just goes to show how piss poor it is in terms of aerodynamics and mechanical grip. Like, he's going so slow, deadly slow through that chicane. Obviously, he's on very worn tyres now, lap 11, but still so slow. So through the final turn, up into 9th place, clean air now to try and push and maybe catch Massa. He's on soft tyres though, so just to go again, showing that the aggressive strategy seems to be the way to go, I think, for the AI as well. So Massa 2 sets of softs, and then obviously pitting a little bit earlier probably. And instead of catching Massa, really honestly, I'm going to start probably having to look back at Grosjean, because now look at that. The MGU-H is now orange. I've not seen that yet. I mean, I thought the internal combustion engine being yellow was bad enough, but now we've got an orange MGU-H. So yeah, I mean, guys, this is going to be a very good example for you guys if you were curious and had questions about really how much is the engine wear going to push your car and how much is it really going to affect you. Well, we'll see here, because as we now move on towards the the beginning of lap 16 now, you can see Grosjean is pulling quite a bit. He's got DRS, obviously, but he's pulling quite a bit with that Ferrari engine in the back of that Haas car. We have to go defensive to the inside now. He'll turn to the inside for turn 2, but we're going to swoop round the outside, and we'll keep the inside for turn 3 then. And you can see just there, Proxy Mutiara falls away. Grosjean gets a bit of dirty air off my rear end from the exhaust plume, and for now we stay in what is going to be P6 at the moment, with a few front runners having made extra pit stop already, a la Felipe Massa, who's made that pit stop. Hamilton has already jumped us in the pit stops. He's already 1 pit stop ahead. Once again, Grosjean tries a pop on lap 17. This time we defend from the outside, and it's okay for now. So far so good. Grosjean's attacks don't appear to be too flustering, but now by the time we get to lap 19, the tyres start to go off as well. Ideally, I need to go to about lap 23 to go onto a set of soft tyres to end this Grand Prix, but Grosjean's got so much overspeed this time, even in rich mix. Just because I got the poor exit off that final corner, I'm just unable to keep ahead of him. I tried to defend, tried to sweep around the outside, doesn't work. I make a little bit of unfortunate contact with him, and then he's off and away there. I get hit with dirty air, and then he's gone. So that's really frustrating there, and basically, essentially, we're going to have to try and do what we failed to do in Bahrain. We didn't catch Stroll at Bahrain. We're going to have to try and hope we can catch Grosjean on the soft tyres, because he comes in now on lap 20. As I said, we're going to lap 23, so we're going at least 2 or 3 more laps longer in this Grand Prix. We move on to lap 22, and you can see going across the curbing on corner 2. So at the moment, the tyres are really quite going off, so we definitely are coming in at the end of this lap for sure. I can't go any longer, but the yellow flags on the minimap, and Felipe Massa is out of this race. So obviously we are trying to maybe catch Massa. I mean, he was a long way off, but now with him out of the race, that's effectively maybe a free position for either myself and Grosjean. So more incentive now to try and overtake or re-overtake Grosjean now on the soft tyres when we come in, and oh so close on that. I just about got that. I'm actually quite surprised I didn't get a drive-through penalty for that. That was right on the line for the pit limiter. But yeah, so now with Massa out, basically me and Grosjean could get a free position effectively for what would be around P6, I think. But as we come in out the pit lane, I actually noticed that Carlos Sainz also came in at the same time, just about made the double stack. But I want to, it's a little bit unfortunate for Carlos there. Just bad timing. I did call my engineer to say box this lap. Usually your teammate will kind of delay his pit stop by a lap if you do tell your engineer box this lap, but I think it was just a bit too late for Carlos. But anyway, now on a not a fresh set of soft tyres, a little bit used set of soft tyres from qualifying, but only 4% on the front left, gone to 6% now. So you can see we will have initial grip, but now I'm just wary about that engine and how bad that MGU-H is looking. I think it's around 70% or something like that, which well, I don't really know, honestly, what's a bad percentage in the game yet. I guess we'll find out if my engine starts to blow up. It's probably not unheard of. I think talking to Paul Gilles and people like that before the game's kind of preview release or anything like that, we did hear that there is a possibility sometimes that your engine could just stop if it is too badly worn. So we'll see. We've only got a few laps left, so knock on wood that doesn't happen. We've been pushing hard since lap 23, and now we're going on to lap 29. Only 4 laps left of this Grand Prix, so taking us a few laps to catch up to Grosjean and actually getting his DRS zone, but now we are, but just not enough speed on the main straight. That'll be a kind of combination of obviously my high wings, but also now my worn MGU-H in the internal combustion engine and pretty much every part is not going to help my straight line speed. And through turn 3, getting so much dirty air there that I nearly go off onto the green rumble strip. And then as we move later on, you can see the gap is just increasing so much now because my engine is very bad. You can see most of it is now orange. There's like 2 parts that are green and 1 part's yellow. Not good, not good. And my tyres are now going off now. So really, it's a case of I have to accept my fate. I can't catch Grosjean. Grosjean nearly caught up to Esteban Ocon, who actually in all of this came out of nowhere to jump me and Grosjean on a 1-stop with hard tyres. That's impressive. That's annoying, but that's impressive. Ocon with a 1-stop on hard tyres at the end jumped me and Grosjean. I think Sergio Perez tried to do the same, but he finishes behind me and Grosjean. Frustrating afternoon, but to get 8th place with such a worn engine, I'm going to take that as a big positive. Big positive.
A great win then for the Maranello team today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
And as we can see, it's time for the podium. And as the drivers make their way out, there's a familiar red suit making its way to the top step. Fantastic win for Ferrari.
So that's another win for Sebastian Vettel. He's had a few this season so far. But yeah, there is our confirmation P8. And you can see both Force Indias with a 1-stop. They both went from, I think, softs to hard tyres. So, or even mediums to hard. So a very big job for them. But you can see in the Drivers' Championship, now we're in 11th place. So pretty decent, I would say. Just behind Felipe Massa, ahead of Lance Stroll, splitting the 2 Williams cars. I think I'd be pretty happy with that if you told me that at the beginning of the season. So yeah, it's all right. It's all right. As a team, though, with Carlos Alta not scoring, though, unfortunately, we can't jump Haas yet. We're a little bit behind them. I feel like if Carlos started scoring points as well as me, we could be ahead of Haas by now. Obviously, from the beginning of the season, when you choose Toro Rosso, the kind of goal is to beat midfield rivals. So at the moment, we're beating Renault, and I guess you can maybe count McLaren in there. But you know, trying to beat Haas, I'm going to need Carlos to hopefully pull his weight sooner rather than later. But you can see the reputation for us is going up and up and up. So I'm not complaining. And looking at the R&D tree at the moment, we don't have enough resource points to go for another major kind of upgrade, really. And we're still obviously waiting on that second weight reduction upgrade. So I'm not too worried about that. And we'll get enough points in Monaco then next time out to then kind of purchase another upgrade, really. Here, I kind of maybe a little bit debated in my head whether I was going to maybe purchase this kind of slightly cheaper MGU-H wear upgrade. But in the end, not going to do it because, honestly, I think this is fine. We've made 5 races, you know, 5 times 4 is 20. We've made it perfectly now. If I switch all over these components now ahead of Monaco qualifying, I think we're fine for the moment. I think the wear is not actually too bad. So that's how I'm going to do it, and that's my thinking there in terms of not buying that durability upgrade. So guys, if you have enjoyed the episode, once again, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content and more F1 2017 content to come this week. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.